Hello and welcome to our presentation on housing beyond the first year information for rising sophomores. My name is Emma Cruz and I'm one of the housing operation coordinators, specifically working with upper level students. And I'm joined today with my colleague Miranda Anderson.
Hi, I'm Miranda. I am the Housing Operations Coordinator, working specifically with first year students. So up until now, you have been my students, and pretty soon you will be transitioning to be Emma's students as you become sophomore and upper class students. So this presentation has a lot of information, so feel free to refer back to it as you prepare for general room selection. In the end, Emma and I will be walking through what it looks like exactly to select a space on campus during your time slot. But first, we'll go through some information.
So here are some things to remember. All rising sophomores have a application that we have created for you. Hopefully at this point you have all gone into that application and either created a block, looked at your gender inclusive housing, either opted in or not. That deadline to edit all of that was February 28th. If you have any questions about your application, please feel free to reach out to our office. We're happy to help you out with that. Another thing to remember is room selection for on-campus housing for this process is a self-selection process. So when you came in as first-year students, you gave us preferences, maybe told us what roommate you wanted, and we assigned you. That is not the case this time. You will be selecting the space that you will be living in for next year. This next piece is very, very important. The housing license is a legally binding document for the academic year, and you need to read it. Not only is this just good practice, but it will help you along in your journey into adulthood. You will be, reading contracts for jobs. When you move off campus, you'll be reading leases. And it's very important to read any legally binding document that you sign so you know what you're signing. And again, this is for the academic year, so for the fall and spring semester.
So you may be thinking, I'm required to live on campus, but I don't know if that's what works best for me. So we do have an exemption request process that you can go through if you think that maybe you. There are 5 reasons listed here where an exemption request would be automatically approved. If you are married, partnered, or have dependents, that means a human child, not a fur baby, not a bunny, not a fish, a human child that is dependent upon you. We know you might want to live with that child, or if you want to live with who you are married to, that would be a circumstance where your exemption would be approved. If you are a veteran or of military status, we understand that your life experiences may not work well with living on campus in residential buildings, so we understand that. If you're 21 or over by the start of the academic year for 24-25, that means by August 26th, 2024, that is the start of classes. That means that you turn 21 in December, doesn't work. If you turn 21 in October, also doesn't work. It has to be by August 26th, 2024. This typically doesn't apply to students going through this process, but if you happen to be a transfer student with 2 years as a resident at a previous institution, you would be approved for an exemption as you've already gained the experiences that we would hope you would gain from living on campus. And the last automatic approval would be if you are a commuter with a permanent address within 25 miles of Cornell's campus for more than 6 months. So that means the property would have had to be purchased by February 2024, and your legal guardian would need to live at that residence with you. That doesn't mean ask your parents to buy a house in Ithaca so that you commute. That doesn't mean you buy a house in Ithaca so you can commute. Your legal guardian must live with you there for at least 6 months before your exemption would be approved. There are always exceptional circumstances that don't fall under these 5 categories. If you feel that this is what would that you apply for or fall under these an exemption category, Feel free to put in your exemption request through exceptional circumstances, and a committee of individuals from across campus will review that and get back to you.
So when you were a incoming first year student, you really had one option, which was North Campus. This year you will have 6 different options, which we will go over later in this presentation. But those 6 options are West Campus House System, South Campus, North Campus if you would like to stay on North, Cooperative Housing, which is student-run houses. They don't have RAs or professional staff that live in. Those are house managers that are students. It's a great taste of living off campus while still living on campus. Greek housing, so if you are part of a Greek organization and would like to live in a house, you can live in your Greek affiliated house. And affiliated housing, which we'll go over in the next couple slides.
So the hard truth is that less than 30% of rising sophomores will be able to select a space on West Campus during general room selection. We know that can be a bit jarring because we know, based on past years, that West is a very sought after space. But we tell you this because we know that everywhere on campus is a great place to live. So giving you the opportunity to look at the options that are available on South Campus, North Campus, so you can make an informed decision on where you would like to select on campus, as well as so that when you get to general room selection, you aren't taken aback when you see what spaces are available.
So here we have a map of North Campus. Everywhere that is highlighted are places that you, as a rising sophomore, are able to live. One place that we didn't want to highlight that is not highlighted is Balch Hall. That is our female and non-binary identified building. North Balch will be open for fall of 24. There are not a ton of spaces in that area, but there will be some available to you to select from.
And this is our South Campus, West Campus side of campus. So up at the top, you see one of our South Campus buildings, as well as a co-op water margin. And then this chunk down here is our West Campus house system. So the main buildings as well as Gothics at the bottom of Live Slope. Some of our South Campus, well, actually all of our South Campus buildings are besides the one mentioned up top. You have EEC, or Equity, Engagement, and Living Learning Community. That is a program house. 112 Edgemore, right on the edge of West Campus, Cascadilla and Sheldon, which are right next to College Town. Sheldon Court is actually above College Town Bagels. And then Schuyler House, which is closer to the Commons. If you're looking for a single, I would definitely look into 112 Edgemore as well as Schuyler. Those buildings tend to, well, 112 Edgemore is entirely singles, and Schuyler tends to have lots of options as singles. And then also, if you are an engineering major, keep South Campus in mind because it is right next to the engineering quad.
So as we spoke about the affiliated housing, as you can see, there are a lot of Greek houses that are university owned that are considered affiliated housing. These, I'm not going to read them all because there are a lot. But these are all houses that if you are a part of these organizations, you are eligible to live in the houses, and that will help, or that will fulfill your requirement for your sophomore year. As well as Center for Jewish Living, Seal and Serpent, and Alpha Zeta. Those all have undergone a vetting process that make sure that they have the same safety, community, programmatic styles as living in a residence hall. Please note that we cannot release you from your academic year housing to live in an affiliated house mid-year. So if I have signed a housing license for Cascadilla for this year, and then I join Seal and Serpent, and they say that they have space in Seal and Serpent's house for spring semester, so spring 2025. I cannot cancel my Cascadilla license to live in Seal and Serpent because I have signed that legally binding document for the academic year.
So our housing timeline, we are coming close to the end. So on February 28th, the general room selection application closed. So like Emma mentioned before, that means that you no longer have the ability to change your block. That means add or remove somebody. There's no ability to change your block leader. And you don't have the option to opt in or opt out of gender inclusive housing on your own. We still do not have the ability to add or remove anybody from your block, but if you reach out to our office, you can change your block leader as well as change your opt-in status. So if that needs to happen, definitely reach out to our office and we are happy to do that. We can do your opt-in or opt-out up through general room selection. So even on day of, we can do that for you. On March 6th, lots of things happen. General room selection time slots will be released, as well as if you have a registered SDS housing accommodation through Student Disability Services, you'll receive your facilitated assignment. Emma and I will be having our final general room selection demo at 7 p.m. in the Toni Morrison multipurpose room. We'll be going through this presentation in depth, as well as doing an in-depth question and answer and walking through what it looks like to do your general room selection. And then on March 11th and March 13th, you'll be going through the general room selection process to select your space on campus.
So as mentioned on the previous slide, if you have a disability or chronic health condition, hopefully you have reached out to Student Disability Services. If you needed to update those accommodations, if you already are registered with those will roll over and you will be receiving your facilitated assignment on March 6th at the same time that you get your time slot. You will have the opportunity to choose between your facilitated assignment and your time slot. So you can say, okay, yes, I like the assignment that I was given. I'm gonna accept that, and then your process is complete. Or you can say, you know, I like my time slot. I want to try to go through this process and choose a room myself. Just please note that if you do decline your facilitated assignment, we cannot guarantee that you will be able to select a room that meets your accommodations.
And if you have any questions about housing accommodations or registering for them, this QR code will take you directly to this website, sds.cornell.edu, and that can answer your questions. So blocking is something we know we get a lot of questions about, and blocking is designed to have or to allow a group of up to 6 students who would like to live in the same building together do so. The entire block will receive the same time slot on March 6, 2024, as mentioned on the housing timeline. The leader of the block will log in during the time slot that you receive on March 6th to assign themselves and every other member in their block to a space on campus. It would be within the same building that the block leader would be able to assign all members. Say you get to your time slot and the block leader sees that there is not enough spaces in a building to assign every member of the block. Each individual can also log in to select for themselves, and then there's not the restriction of being in the same building. You can block together only with those that are in your cohort, so rising sophomores. And any block that has 3 or more members must assign at least 1 student to a multi-occupant room. So a block of 3 cannot have all 3 members in a block of 3 or more cannot have all members in singles. At least 1 person must be assigned to a double, triple, or quad room.
Gender inclusive housing. So this is designed to allow students to live with someone of a different gender identity or expression. This means sharing a room, a bathroom, and a suite. So all 3 of those. We advise that only students who wish to share a space with someone of a different gender, identity or expression, opt in. There is no advantage or edge for students to opt in. This does not give you more options. And if you opt in unnecessarily, it can create issues with your ability to select during room selection. So, for example, our housing system has 3 gender markers: M for male, F for female, and N for neutral. If you are opted into gender inclusive housing, your gender marker turns into an N. So when you select a room, if you select a completely empty double room, let's say, you now turn that room into an N room. So only other people who have opted into gender inclusive housing can select into that room. If that room is in a suite, that turns the entire suite into an N suite. So no one with an M or an F gender marker can select into that suite, and vice versa. So if I, as a female identified individual, select into a room in a suite that is completely empty, I now turn that suite into a female suite. So if Miranda has opted into gender inclusive housing and she is an N, she cannot opt in, or she cannot select into that suite that I have chosen because it is an F. So you want to make sure that, you know, this is something that you really want when you are opting into gender inclusive housing. If you come up with issues during your time slot, you can always give us a call and we can either opt you in, opt you out during your time slot. Just note that this will be this will take some time, so your time slot will be delayed.
Also note that if you are in a block that happens to have individuals of different gender identities or expressions, there's no need to opt in unless you are all wanting to share a space together, meaning you all want to share a room or you all want to share a suite. If you all just plan on being in the same building but don't want to be in the same space, you would not need to opt in. So now I'm going to walk through what it looks like to actually select during general room selection. Some background. Emma and I are in a block, and I, Miranda, am the block leader. So during your time slot or at the start of your time slot, not before, it won't let you in. Go to housing.cornell.edu and you'll log into the housing portal. Once you get to the housing portal, you're going to navigate to the undergraduate tab and hit the 24-25 academic year application. So that'll take you to the general room selection page. And on this page, you're going to see every building that still has a space available within it. So before general room selection, Emma and I looked at the bed availability report that you'll have access to once your time slot is released. And we decided that we want to live in Keaton House. So I'm scrolling down to Keaton. I'm hitting that building. And we've also discussed that we both want to live in singles. So over here on the side, you'll have the opportunity to filter by room types as well as by suites, if you know a suite that you're looking for. Or this dash here means a corridor space, so a hallway space that is not within a suite. So we know that we both want to be in singles, but we don't want to live in the same suite or the same room, obviously because it's a single. I am going to pick this Keaton 115 space. It's a dynamic gender, so there's no gender assigned to it. I'm adding this to my cart. As a block leader, I need to add enough rooms to my cart as people are in my block if I am assigning everyone in my block, or I need to add the amount of spaces for the people I am assigning. So now I am selecting for Emma. Which room would you like to be in?
I'll be in 134B.
Okay, so Emma's going to be in this suite, and we know it is a suite because there's a letter attached to the end. And as you can see, there's spaces available in the suite is 7, but she's going into a dynamic gender space. So when I select this space for Emma, because she's a female identifying individual, this suite 134 will become a female space. So I've added both to my cart, and note up here, it started at 4 minutes, but that is the time that these spaces are mine. So as long as they are in my cart for this 4 minutes, nobody else will have the opportunity to select them. 4 minutes doesn't seem like a lot of time, but I promise you it is easily done to get all the steps completed. Emma likes to say you can do it with your tongue and get it done. So on the second page, after I hit save and continue, my timer is still running, but this is when you are assigning the individuals in your block and yourself to your beds. So I'm assigning myself to 115, and then I'm assigning my block mates here to the spaces that they wanted. So Emma wanted to be in 134B. And the most important step here is to hit the assign beds. If you don't do that, it won't bring you to this confirmation page. Your timer is still running. So you want to get this done, confirm that everybody's in the correct space, hit save and continue. And now my timer is gone because those spaces are assigned to me and my blockmate. It will now go through and sign my license. My blockmate, Emma, has now received an email telling her to sign her license within the next, I can't remember the exact time, but you want to sign it ASAP, as if you don't sign it and you remain in tentative status, our office reserves the right to move you if we should need to move you to a different space. So you'll need to fill out your contacts page. It won't let you move on to the rest of your license without doing so. So make sure you read through that information to ensure it's correct.
And again, the timer is gone.
Yeah,
So
no
take
timer.
your time with these pieces.
Yeah. So here is your housing license. This is the piece that is most important for you to read here. So it shows the number of assignments 2. That is because there is a fall assignment and a spring assignment. It's not as if you have 2 different rooms on campus. So pay attention to the license start date and the license end date for each semester, especially as you're making plans on when you're going to move into campus and leave for breaks. So the start and end date of the fall semester, I'm in Keaton House 115. This is my mailing address. This is, I'm in a single room. This is my rate for this fall semester. So how much I will owe, and I'm in tentative status because I have not yet signed my license. And then the same information for the spring semester, the dates, my mailing address, single, my rate. Clicking this, that I agree that I am in the right spot, and that to all of this. This information is about if you were need to cancel your license. 3 reasons why you would be allowed a cancellation. If you defer admission, withdraw, or graduate, if you go on a leave of absence of any kind, or if you study away from Ithaca, so a study abroad. Again, canceling to live off campus or in a Greek house are not considered exceptional circumstances. You can look at more information in the terms and conditions of the license. So I'm going to check that I understand that. Meal plans, you can click here on this webpage. But as a rising sophomore who lives on campus, anyone who lives on campus is required to have a meal plan. We specifically signed up for West Campus, so we will be enrolled in the West Campus meal plan, but rates are on this webpage. We didn't do a program house, but these are the community living standards for living on campus. Definitely take a look at those. So it talks about fire safety and things like that. So you'll read those. And then you'll sign your housing license, and that is your first name and your first name only as it appears when you log into the housing portal. No periods, no spaces, no initials, no last names, nothing, just your first name, capitalized. Sign the housing license. And now I am done. I have officially signed up for housing for the 24-25 academic year. And I'll receive a confirmation email that I have signed my license, so I am good to go. And then Emma will sign hers as soon as she gets her email.
Yep, so that is the process. Thank you for spending some time with us to go over this. This QR code will take you to our website that explains the process again, and then also has our FAQ page. If you have any questions, feel free to stop by our office, come to that March 6th Q&A, or give us a call. We're happy to answer any questions that you may have. So again, thank you, and we look forward to hearing from you. Yeah. Bye.